Funko Hot Wheels.
Yeah,
Hot Wheels.
yeah. And it is amazing when you think about how still in demand so much of those Hot Wheels are.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wish I could say I got into them back then, but it was a few of my friends did, but I never really did. And I'd like to, because some of those cars were so cool.
Do they still make them out of like metal, die-cast or something?
Yeah, some. I believe they still make some. I don't know how big of a production it is anymore.
Right.
But certainly the back market for them is really hot. I mean,
right.
Intended Hot Wheels.
I always like the way the little tiny doors would open.
Yeah. They don't do that anymore. They don't do that anymore. Though.
Really, that was part of the fun.
Unless they're like the high end ones,
right?
Like the $6-7 ones. You guys will be interested to know maybe that doctors have recently linked in youth, like 2 to maybe 6-7-year-old Hot Wheel love or desire for Hot Wheels to autism.
Because of what did they use lead in those things?
No. If your child has an obsession to Hot Wheels, they may be autistic. And I was like, really? And then
correlation is not causation.
Siri,
it sounds suspicious.
Yeah, the funny thing was, I said that's BS, and then I thought about my kid, and I'm like, whoa, because he was addicted to Hot Wheels for a very long time, and not because he didn't have any other toys. It was just like his toy of choice.
Yeah,
and he wanted his Hot Wheels. It was like, which I didn't mind because they were cheap. Like right. I can buy you this $15 action figure. Or I can get you 15 cars.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. And so I didn't mind. But they had said that, and then another friend of mine, her son was addicted to Hot Wheels. Like if she left and didn't bring like a Hot Wheel, he freaked out, and he would put them down. I think it's also like they like to organize them.
So it's really like associated behaviors surrounding the cars, not necessarily the cars themselves.
Yeah, it's not like hey, your child looked at a Hot Wheel. I got news for you. No,
right.
It's the spinning of the wheels that set off something in their brain. It's kind of like
Well, also it's the volume, because it's like you said, it's like you buy either one action figure or 15 cars. So if you have 15 of something, that maybe it's like now, like 10 years, 15 years from now, what are we going to say about Funko Pops? Because it's like you're more likely to have 15 Funko Pops.
or 1,500 if you're my wife.
Right, exactly.
We're breeding of nations of narcissists, people with big heads.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And beady eyes.
Yeah.
Well, a world of nothing but C-sections.
Yeah.
My wife has I don't know how many Funko Pops she has, but it's getting to the point where they're outnumbering like it's like, hey, we need to move this so we can have furniture.
Oh, well.
Why have furniture when you can build an awesome fort?
Yeah, exactly. Like, have you seen those offices that some people have, where it's like the entire walls are like Funko Pops?
Oh, God, yes. Oh,
Although I can't say anything because JD has a wall right here that's all like Disney Infinity figures.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the entire wall is covered. So yeah, it's like that.
I
need to organize stuff.
I have all the Marvel ones, the Disney Infinity figure. I have all the Marvel ones.
What is the Disney Infinity figures?
It was
a console game that Disney kind of like was a part of. I don't know who made the console itself. And you would and you would collect figures. I mean, actually, it's a brilliant concept, but for some reason it never took off.
Yeah.
Wow.
And each figure would have like its own power sets, and and you would put the figure on the console, and the console would read the information from the figure. So you were hitting two markets at the same time. You were hitting the collectible figure market, and you were hitting the gaming market. But
that reminds me of one of there was a set of toys that was also part of a game where the little characters had little shields on their chest.
Right.
If you touched it and heated it up with your body heat, it would turn into one of 3 or 4 symbols. Fire.
Oh, what were they? Oh,
the
I just saw
Visionaries.
yeah.
What were they
Little
called?
The Visionaries.
They have the little holograms on them.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Oh, those are cool figures. Those was really well done.
You know, the problem with the Disney Infinity set is that they had to get with Skylanders, which is another Toys to Life game.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And Skylanders had too big of a market share. I mean, you would go to the stores and Skylanders would have like aisle after aisle. Like, a whole like front facing shelf.
Yeah, we have some of those too. Yeah.
Yeah, and the wife's collection of Skylanders is ridiculous too.
Yeah.
There was a point where I begged her to get rid of the doubles, and they were, she got, she got some nice money getting rid of the doubles that she had.
I see Pops Van Sant has been waiting.
I've been up for 2 hours. Where are you guys?
We're still sleeping. we're still sleeping. That's what we're doing.
Hey, Pops, just go get us some croissants and never mind about keeping track.
Pop does not get croissants. No.
Oh man.
Hey Joe, good morning.
Pop would be more likely to go get special little brownies.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
And then we definitely would need a nap afterwards.
Nothing wrong with
it. Should we hit the intro, Randy? In
a minute, but first,
Randy has to do his makeup. Hold on.
Says, Nine Realms Comics says, "Oh my God, is that Scott Rosenthal?"
Buckle in, Nine Realms here.
Daniel says, "Good morning."
Good morning.
William says, "Sup, y'all."
Good morning.
Good morning.
Empyrean Vol, good morning.
All the regulars are in the house.
So Visionaries, unfortunately, the cartoon was short-lived.
Yeah.
That was
Glenn Fleming says, "Hey, that's a nice cup of coffee. I can see."
Well, you ought to taste it.
Hey, Empyrean. Hey, everybody. Hey, come on in, everybody. Come on in. It's time for the breakfast buzz. Daniel says, "I've been up since 5 something. I had to take a quick power nap personally." Yes.
Yeah.
We all know all about power naps, Daniel. They do come in handy. Visionaries was awesome. That was a golden age. Oh, gee.
Oh, I was during the height of the Silverhawks and G.I. Joe and all that. Yeah.
We all have the wonderful perspective of nostalgia.
Right. Well, yeah. Because I mean, because honestly, have you really tried watching those shows again recently?
They had good theme music, but I don't know. They're in small doses. I can
yeah. I mean, it's really funny to
afternoon
see
where Glenn is. Afternoon, Glenn.
Hello, Glenn. I really have to finish that article for him. I swear I'm going to do it today. I have to finish everybody's stuff.
Oh,
today.
what are you typing out for Glenn?
Oh, it's a how-to article based on like how I did some work for Randy's new anthology coming up. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're talking about Arrow Comics being notched up again. If I can extend the metaphor.
Hey, everybody, welcome. It's the Breakfast Buzz. We're going to run the opening, and then we will get right to it. We have a guest in the house already. We might have a few others pop by. And just to say hello and maybe try to wake up along with us this morning.
Yeah, really. It's the last week of the month. It's crunch time.
Crunch time. Yeah, crunch time for your campaign. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, yeah. I've been missing out on here. I want to do all kinds of catch up this morning.
You've been gone for far too long, Mr. Rosamond.
Far too long. I'm going to have to have somebody yank my chain.
I've been trying. You just don't click on the links.
Oh, click on the link. Yank my chain. Very, very good. I like that. I got that build up.
Here we go.
Some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Buzz, good morning.
Morning.
I like that intro. Haven't seen it in a while.
Oh, we just throw it together. We have all sorts of other little clips.
That's great. You know, we were for those that haven't tuned in just to now, I just want a quick another pun, backtrack. We were talking about Hot Wheels, and I thought, well, speaking of the 70s, I'm wondering if what Varian was saying was about kids having too much of a Hot Wheels Jones.
No.
Yeah.
It was psychology. She told me, she says, yeah, if your child is fascinated with Hot Wheels, I find that usually is a early sign of autism. And I'm like, what? But yeah, I think it just mainly goes to that they like to take the figures or the toys, the Hot Wheels, and sort them and organize them by size, color, type,
Yeah.
My
That's what I
about,
think. Yeah, that's what it sounds like the real issue is. Not exactly. The Hot Wheels are just a catalyst.
Right,
but,
right. Because my son, he's what they consider high functioning autistic, and he will set his movies up by, well, if it's a sequel, that's fine, but they're set up by film company, and there's not a sequel by production company, runtime, and it's like, and he'll know if you moved one.
Well, Hot Wheels was one of the first companies to build into the line a whole collector's mentality, because they would have cases to store it in, and they would have extra the playset tracks and all that.
Cases that look like tires.
Yeah.
Those were great. I just awesome. You could see Detroit all over that.
Oh yeah,
line, obviously.
Yeah. I used to think about the big tire when I was a kid. The big tire off of the freeway, and I used to love to see it. So when Daphne's like, "What? We have a big, huge tire." We used to call it the Goodyear tire at one point. I think
I know what you're talking about. It's kind of like one of those icon things.
Yeah.
I
think it's now. Is it Firestone now? I think it's Fire. Yeah, I forgot who sponsors the tire.
Bridgestone or Firestone.
Yeah, I remember when I was told that there was a Ferris wheel in there, and I was like, "No, there's not." But apparently, the framing was a former Ferris.
That would make sense. Yeah.
That was used in one of the World's Fairs.
Wow!
And they didn't know what to do with it. And they're like, "Hey, we're gonna buy this and make a giant tire."
Speaking of Ferris wheels, I'm going to take us down an incredibly off thing segue. But on the way to a convention, there we go. Oh my God, that's awesome!
Oh, so they're okay, but they still kept the little Ferris wheel cars then. Oh, so no wonder people thought it was.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's what it looks like now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I see. Okay.
Yeah. At one point, though, it was a Ferris wheel.
Uniroyal. Yeah.
Uniroyal
that would have been. Boy, talk about your perfect. Absolutely cool promotional thing.
Yeah.
To have a wheel as a Ferris wheel. That's awesome.
It's too close to the expressway now for that to happen.
Yeah.
Well, Susie and I were going off to a comic convention year before last, and we it was down in North Carolina, and we stopped midway through because the highways there run all the way through those mountains. The lower end of the Appalachians, I think. And we stopped at a truck stop area, and across the way, you could see these really tall hills with these old pine trees. And in the middle of these pine trees, up halfway up the hill, you saw this huge Ferris wheel sitting there, rusted, frozen, and I asked one of the workers at the gas station, I said, "What is that? That must be super old. Does that used to be active around here?" He goes, "Oh, that was the very reason they built this highway. There used to be a whole carnival up the side of that hill, and all that's left is this one rusted out old Ferris wheel."
Now the only choice you have around there is south of the border. I'm still amazed that place still exists.
It's amazing. And I asked him, what shut it down? He goes, "Oh, you don't want to know."
Oh, yes, I do. Now I do.
I want to bring up something
tragic thing. I don't know. Somebody fell off. I don't know. So maybe the guy who ran it got drunk on moonshine, or I don't know what it was.
Glenn says, for the longest time, I couldn't work out what a Ferris wheel was. separated by common language.
Yeah, yeah. I could believe that. I could believe that. Yeah.
Them crazy
boy.
squeals.
Uh-huh.
Must have been before his language course he took, I guess.
Here we go. We got Empyrean says, okay, trivia point on Visionaries and Inhumanoid, which I love the Humanoids also. Featured the voice talents of Chris Lauder, by the way, as Decompose. They were produced by Flint Deal, the Buck Rogers Heir. He also had a lot to do with Dungeons and Dragons in the early 80s, early 90s. Also,
Bless him.
Flint Deal produced Transformers, G.I. Joe. Flint from G.I. Joe was in after him.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Oh, I saw
It's named after Flint.
I don't remember that history of the city.
Visionaries was a cartoon that I used to watch as a kid too, that I would watch, but I was also kind of freaked out by it because it was way too. They had this character called Decompose, and he would take the good guys, put them in his chest, and their skin and stuff would melt off.
Oh,
and he would yell, Skylanders.
Oh my
God.
Frank Weller.
yeah. But that was Chris Lauder, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, I think
because it was either him or Frank Weller.
Oh god,
it's like the 80s was like you watch enough of those cartoon documentaries and you find out that like your entire childhood is like the responsibility of like 3 people.
Oh yeah, Frank Welker did everything. He was like the voice guy of the 80s, and he still does it too. He's still around doing it, not as much, but yeah. Frank was.
Then again, slightly before that, it was Sid and Marty Krofft and some awesome good drugs.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. God. Yeah, I don't think they even denied that.
Lidsville.
The banana splits had to be some bad trip on a weekend. Oh my god.
Yeah. You know that, and he would also.
If they ever stream Banana Splits, I'm there.
You know, I mean, yeah, because it's like
I'll sit through that.
Disney Plus just announced that they have the entirety of the original Muppet Show.
Yes.
So it's like, now you're worth the money.
Coming up next month. Yeah. Suddenly, ding.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's the monthly cost?
You know who else doesn't get their a lot of their credit is Cree Summer.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Hee Haw there for a second.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's
No. Cree Summer. She doesn't get a lot because she's voiced so many people.
Oh, I think
you're still on cartoons. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking she's like she played Freddie in a Different World, and I remember thinking, why does this girl? I was young, like, why does she sound like Penny from Inspector Gadget?
Because she's Penny from Inspector
Gadget.
Yeah.
Wow.
It took me up until like a year or so ago to realize that Betty Rubble was actually voiced by the lady who would run the inn on Petticoat Junction.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is that the aunt?
What's she doing with all these other voice actors? Well, and to find out she was the voice of Betty.
There you go.
That was awesome.
Everyone knows this now, but I mean, it's common knowledge. But Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was Shredder.
Yeah.
And so, if you listen, you can hear Will. You can hear the Shredder. Especially when he got mad at Will.
I saw some episodes of Petticoat Junction not like a couple months ago, and I'd forgotten about the show, although I remembered it the second I saw it. But that was one of those who's who of 60s comedy shows. I mean, it had,
suddenly the youth hormones were kicking in. I remember this show. A lot.
Between that and Green Acres and God, it was just
that Me TV is amazing.
I wish I got it regularly around here, but we don't.
You should have seen the expression on my daughter's face when I tried to explain to her what Hogan's Heroes was about.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yes. They did what? Yeah. And now I don't know if you've seen it or not, but they're running a cartoon show early in the morning on Me TV where they're digging up the old original cartoons and showing them uncut.
Oh yes,
cool. That's
I
cool.
heard it's like 4 hours Saturday morning of.
Right.
Yeah, the older shows are on Saturday morning, but they have a cartoon show. It's the cut-in parts are really bad, but the cartoons they only show 5 a day, but they're awesome. Great stuff.
That's also something that they're wondering about. People are wondering about the Muppet Show, whether it's all like unedited episodes. Although considering that Disney owns everything now, we're hoping that they have all the rights to the music and stuff.
Well, they're getting that's true, but they're getting smart about placing warning labels up in front of shows. They just pulled Dumbo and Peter Pan out. I keep hoping they're going to throw Song of the South back up there because it's such an important. It's such an important film as far as Disney's history goes, and it's one that honestly they should be. It should be up there, and they should go. Yeah, we did this. We're sorry.
Oh yeah, I mean that for the longest time, Song of the South was just so nobody wanted to touch it.
Not at all.
And then the ironic thing about it is that it's actually a really boring movie.
Yeah.
Aside from like the very innovative animated sequences, but the thing is that the movie itself is boring. And the problem is that because they wanted to hide it, they ended up creating this mythology around it. And I mean, it's like they could have just left it alone and just like, okay, yeah, we did that, it's here if you want it, but we're not going to comment about it. But now it's like, you have everybody clamoring for it, and it's like, yeah, but it's actually not that good in general.
Well, I'm still slowly going through the old Rowan and Martin laugh-ins.
Yeah.
And you want to see 50-year-old humor, what used to be acceptable on television and what's not acceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the whole troop coming out in blackface.
Oh, really?
Doing numbers. Except for the black girl on the show at the time. She come out in whiteface.
Jeez.
It's called transracialism now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Transracialism, and you can do it if you want now. Apparently, it's okay.
Varian said it's
Somebody
okay.
wanting to talk to you about your car warranty again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, apparently.
You obviously have some back due student loans that you haven't been responsible for.
Oh, they found me. Oh my God.
From Indie Vote Radio, guys. I'm sorry to interrupt the
that's all right.
the conversation, but I do want to get this one in here. I do want to get this one here before I have to leave, and because I would like to weigh in on it.
We should probably introduce ourselves before you do that, because there's people listening to us now are going, "Who are these idiots?"
Talking
Hello,
about
everybody. I'm Varian Grant. I am the founder of Indie Vote Media LLC. I started making comics in 2008, and I'm a comic book artist, writer, publisher. I used to say that I could be considered a comic book critic, but critics, a guy made it bad for all critics yesterday, a couple days ago, so I no longer want that title.
We'll just gloss over that one.
And
everybody's a critic anyway.
Yeah, and our question is going to be about critics, but go ahead, Randy.
Hey, everybody, I'm Randy Zimmerman. I've been doing alternative and independent comics for many, many, many years. Massive Arrow Comics. In fact, I'm bringing Arrow Comics back again.
Yay!
So it's been so long. Yeah, it's time to get back into publishing again. So we're going to be Arrow 4.0, Arrow Comics. It's coming soon. So be on the lookout for that. We do have a Facebook page already up. And just yesterday, I changed my YouTube channel from the Zimm Geek channel to the Arrow Comics 4.0 channel so that we can put some videos up talking about Arrow Comics and the great things that we've already got planned to come out under that banner. So
look at 4.0.
Hope you'll join in with us. Yeah, it's the fourth time through. I told Ralph I was going to do it, and Ralph was real happy. Said he was just really happy to hear it. So
awesome.
So it was something that we just decided, maybe we should do it. So we're doing it. So also with us this morning is Daphne Lage. Daphne.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. My name is Daphne, and I am a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I've been self-publishing comics since 1992, and I am known for the funny animal fantasy Tall Tales, right behind me, and my medieval drama, Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which is on its last week on Kickstarter, and we're actually 3 people away from 100 backers, which breaks all my Kickstarter records. So thank you. And you can read both my comics at talltalesonline.com. That's TAILS, or egoworks.com, where you can find all my work. It's my main portfolio site. So it's egoworks.com. And you can also watch my videos on how I make these comics on YouTube at Daphne Lage, Lage art.
Very cool. Very cool.
Awesome. Also joining us this morning is special guest, Mr. Rose.
Dun-dun-dun.
Mr. Roosevelt, yes.
Dun-dun-dun.
For all you near, please. No. For all you near to wells, it's Mr. Roosevelt. Don't you forget it. Scott Roosevelt,
Yeah.
long time ne'er do well himself in the comic industry. X-Men, Space Ghost, Batman, Disney, Marvel, DC, Warner Brothers, Tiny Toons, Solar, all kinds of stuff. So hang around. I pretty much am spot welded to Randy's hip when it comes to Arrow comics. And look at Randy. No more spot.
No, he's not. No, he's not. No. Don't say that. We'll have to go back through and see if you've listed yourself as strange credits all the way through.
Exactly. But just long time pro, and I've got indie self-publishing comics in my blood. That's where I started all those decades ago, and so yeah, we're gonna kind of coagulate together on doing some more Arrow comics. So that's gonna be exciting.
It is.
And
Yeah,
you actually put Mr. Roosevelt on my tag, Randy. That's awesome.
I can change it back if you want.
Maybe we can put Esquire after.
Yeah. Makes me feel like I'm not the oldest one here. That's
Yeah. I don't have my official title up there. I have official titles they have to abide by now. I got to change that.
We
But
forgot how to spell sup ass boy.
no. I got to put my.
Is Lord Varian, Lord Reverend. There we go. Yeah,
Lord-
Lord Reverend Varian.
Reverend Varian.
Yeah.
Come on, I thought we weren't here to talk about our porn careers.
Yeah, they got to.
Depends on the Kickstarter.
Yeah. That's my name in that industry is Daddy Longstroke. Everybody knows that.
Oh, okay. Is that where you say I'd show my resume, but as long as my arm or something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about Hogan's Heroes a little bit ago, and I got to say, since obviously this is a channel that has no sense of decency or decorum.
We are TVMA DLSV for everyone out there.
And we are already demonetized.
Yeah,
for your
we never were monetized in the first place.
Yeah.
So we're not
Well,
demonetized.
I got a quick got a great little short story about we talked about how Hogan's Heroes, prisoners of war camp and all that. Walter Matthau is said to have done this. He and his wife were touring Europe, I guess way back in something. And you can imagine Walter Matthau. Those that don't know him, look him up. He's a classic old great comedic actor, famous for The Odd Couple he did with Jack Lemmon. Anyway, they were touring Europe, and they decided, they wanted to check out the Dachau remains of the camp in Auschwitz. And his wife was bugging him to do something else, and she wouldn't let up. And they were touring Auschwitz, and Matthau was supposedly turned to her and says, "That's it. You've ruined Auschwitz for me." And that is so Walter Matthau humor. He had that kind of incredible deadpan. And if anybody wants to laugh until their ribs literally shatter inside their body, look up and find Odd Couple 2 that him and Jack Lemmon did decades after the original. You will not stop crying. You laugh so hard at that. But Matthau was just a phenomenal comedic thing. So that's it. You ruined Auschwitz for me.
I remember when they made the Dennis the Menace cartoon. I can't remember what was my cartoon, but the movie. I can't remember from my mother or my father saying Walter Matthau was perfect for Mr.
Wilson.
Mr. Wilson.
Yeah.
He's perfect. Yeah. From Indievo Radio, guys. I want to get to this before my ride shows up. This is from Dylan.
For everybody wondering, Varian is going to see the Marvel display today at the Henry Ford Museum.
Yeah.
He's going to try to lick the Jack Kirby pages.
Yeah.
Luckily, they're under glass. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. I just
see somebody running around behind him with a sanitation wipe.
Oh my God,
Mr. Grant, stop that!
I told Daphne says I just stand there and rub myself while watching.
Right. And then the guard would be like, "Oh, another one!"
Yeah,
another one. Yeah.
Get this guy out of here.
Into the ne'er do well.
From Dylan, and Dylan said, Dylan says, so okay, everybody, maintain your responses, your gasp, your eye rolls, your visual eye rolls, your verbal eye rolls until after I finish.
So gird your loins, people.
Yeah. Dylan says, he says, hello, Indie Voters. Same thing Imperium Volt says. Hello, Indie Voters. I can't help but feel a great sense of pride when I seen what happened at our country's capital a few weeks ago. I would like to see the same thing happen with comic fans uniting at the DC and Marvel offices, taking over and taking charge and getting rid of the idiots up there. Do you think this is possible? When will we unite? When will we save comics? And he says, this is why we should bring back the Comics Code Authority under a new fan-driven directive. Lola said, that was from Dylan.
Lola says,
Daphne, do we have something we want to add to this?
Yeah.
Stop sucking that dick. Let it go. It's DC and Marvel. Let it go.
You say stop sucking that dick.
Dylan, I hope you were old enough to hear that.
It's like
because your opinion comes from a perspective of youth that sometimes startles and amazes us all.
It's like, look, we're here already. We're here as independent creators. We're here. We don't need Marvel and DC to kind of like validate our existence. So it's like the way people are just all over these two companies, like it's the end all. It's like, no, they're not. Their ice isn't colder. It's like you want.
But we are bucking programming for the last 30 years, though. Especially when it comes to comics and comic collectibles and comic fandom. They've been programmed to think Marvel, DC, Marvel, DC, Marvel, DC, from the distributor and from the retailers and all of this, because that's all that they've been programmed with. Those blinders are there, but they are coming off. Dylan, we're in the middle of a revolution now.
We're on the cusp of what
all you have to do is look at Kickstarter and look at Indiegogo and see some of those totals and realize that there's people out there, there's an audience out there for product, and that the audience can be large or can be small, and there are products. The market now for crowdfunding is so big that there are awesome, incredible products now that are getting totally ignored. That's how big the market is. I mean, beyond professional looking books that Marvel and DC would have 10, 15, 20 years ago been ecstatically proud to have printed are being overlooked and barely clearing 4 or 5 figures.
And what Daphne is saying is that, and a part of what she's getting to,
you know what Daphne was saying.
Is which makes me love you, Daphne. I just love it when somebody just takes it all the way. It's awesome. But the fact is, if you follow some of these projects on Kickstarter, you see books being backed and bought by more people than the sales on some of the top titles at Marvel and DC. So they have an audience that's right there, just clamoring, hungry to want to,
that's about your car warranty again.
Well, I'm telling them they're not going to get me.
They're like, are you on the air? Are you talking with them indie volters? Do you know who they are? Screw them people.
I thought your mother told you to never go around with those kind of people.
There's a shoe cam. There's a shoe cam. Click.
But no, that is you're right, Daphne. That is what people have got to. They've got to, and it's starting to happen. Little by little. There was a fairly almost cliche question. But you're right. Randy's right. We're on the cusp of things making a turn, a slow 180, where people that have thought for years, if we don't get a good Marvel or DC books out, then it's all ruined.
There's 30 years of programming there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That it's like, that if Marvel and DC doesn't do it, it doesn't count. And it's like, that's the thing that infuriates me the most, because like, what's funny is that, you know, even when we go back to like the first, you know, the first underpinnings of the whole, like, you know, comics should be more diverse or something. The funny thing is that they already were. It's just that you had to turn around and look at the rest of us to see that diversity that you were looking for. We're making the media that you hunger for, not billion-dollar conglomerates.
Oh yeah, and pre-internet.
They're just selling toys and underoos.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So it's time to stop that and start getting entertained.
The pre-internet days, you know, the biggest obstacle anybody had to doing anything close to Marvel and DC wasn't talent, and it wasn't drive. There were plenty of us out there, but is that there was no way to reach an audience unless you had the distribution network that Marvel and DC had a monopoly fist on. Now, with the internet, with the ability to reach, you know, millions of people, you can now tap into that audience without having to go through the Marvel or DC filter.
Yeah.
Says Varian, who Varian just changed into his Marvel hat.
Yeah.
and shirt.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, look, you can love Marvel or you can hate them. That's fine. But the thing is, though, like, they're not the only ones. When we talk about comics, when we say we're in comics, people should not be asking which one.
Yeah,
you know, I hate that.
So you draw Spider-Man or
right? No, for real. It's like, really, me? You're thinking I'm drawing Spider-Man?
I did want to mention how a takeover at Marvel would go. It'd be a lot. First of all, there'd be arrest warrants.
We don't have an echo switch here for the microphone because those Marvel offices are pretty empty.
Yeah. Right, yeah. It's like there's nothing to take over. They're firing.
Those DC offices, the assistant is now in charge, and they're like, "You want to do? Well, yeah, okay, I'm out of here." See
you. You walk in. I mean, can you imagine you walk in waving that CCA flag, and you're like, "I thought maybe more resistance."
You know, I mean, it's like,
wasn't there not too long ago? I read somewhere that was it some company that owns Marvel now, or at least or not Marvel, but DC. They went in after having bought them. I forget.
Well, it's AT&T now.
That's it.
3 times. They've gone through 3 times.
Yeah, it's like they have like 3 levels of corporate overlords.
and I heard tell that some suits from AT&T went into the DC offices and looked around and said, "Why in the hell are we still making comic books? We should just, you know, this is just a farm now for movie and TV property."
Right, exactly.
And honestly, as an example of how bad it was or how bad it is, the guy who was responsible to tell the people that were working on the books that they were sacked was sacked before he could make all the calls.
Oh, really?
That's no lie. You've got people finishing assignments and sending them in and going, "You're still working on that book? Well, that was supposed to be pencils down a month ago."
Well, that's why you have to.
And also, we're not paying you either.
Yeah. That's why you have to run in and say,
"Oh no, I think they paid him. I haven't heard anything."
I hope so.
It's the royalty program. The person responsible for the royalty program, they were sacked, and they're like, "What royalties? What?"
Yeah.
That's why you have to run in and say, "Hey, John, we need you to get this done by 12. It is very important." It's 12:10. He's fired.
There was talk that somebody that there were quite a few artists out there who saw the writing on the wall that were just scribbling on pages and sending them in just to get there as quickly as possible.
Here's the problem.
Slide under the wire.
Get those checks cut before it all went under the bus.
Here's the problem with these little groups. They want to go. You want us to storm the Marvel and DC office. You know, this is how you get called Vanilla ISIS. Okay. What you gonna do? Hey, let's bring them outside the office. Let's string them up. And comic book fans are way too creative. They'll be people will be bringing big cups of milkshakes, dunking people, and it'll be great.
and Dylan.
But you know, you know what? But yeah, but it's like, you know what? You're right. Comic book people are really creative, which is why they shouldn't be wasting their time with these companies and making the books they want to see.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true. Now, I will say this.
And
that, you
Dylan,
know,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Scott, but I have to point out to Dylan, if you're watching the news, and you shouldn't watch it a lot, but don't watch it a lot. You will see what happened to all those people that decided to storm that Senate floor.
Yeah,
They were not very creative.
Yeah.
They were not very. The wife was looking at me, and I'm like, "You see everybody here that's walked past that police barricade? That's 5 to 10.
Yeah,
That's what that is. That's all that's going to happen."
No, I'm sure he was trying to, put across we need some severe action, but not that.
Now. Okay.
Well, no, I was going to say, no.
It's like the bar to entry is so low. just make the comics you want to see in the world.
Now, I will say this: there is still not just a mindset for those companies, but there's also a very large fan base for the characters. Everybody wants to see a really, really well done Flash or Green Lantern or whatever. And that's all right. I understand that. Yeah. I mean, I certainly grew up with that stuff too. And so we still have a little bit of we got quite a hill to climb, not just in the changing of a mindset that says the companies are what have to be paid attention to, but we have to offer up the content and the creativity for something that says, maybe I can't have the Flash, but look at this character over here that's a speedster or some type of thing. And, have to build on that. What, Daphne? What'd I do?
The ticker.
Scroll around.
There you go. Fan Storms Marvel was in.
Please turn the lights off in the office. When done, don't be a litter bug.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm like, I understand that too. I mean, we were just waxing nostalgic about 80s cartoons, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And it's like, it's not like anybody's doing anything with those characters either. It's like, we were talking last night how it's like that I really got into drawing because there was no real merchandise for The Secret of NIMH. So I was drawing my own stuff for that. I was writing my own fanfic. And you see, and that's the thing too. It's like part of fandom is in this entire creative, whirlpool where it's like, okay, companies are disappointing us, so we get to do it ourselves. Right. And it's like, and we're forgetting our roots, people. It's like you go out, you upset at Marvel, go write fanfic like God intended.
I've said it a lot. When your icons fail, you create better icons.
Yeah, exactly.
I listen. I'm still titillated by this idea.
Uh-oh.
But you should know this, Dylan, too. DC left New York a while ago.
Yeah, they did.
Moved them all to LA.
Yeah. So that's a long trek. It's like, plus whose moms are going to drive that far? Okay, Mom, we're finished here. We're going to.
Yeah, because you ain't going to be flying after storming, corporate office.
There's an awesome movie there, though.
Yeah.
The road trip made when you storm the DC offices in New York and realize that they moved to the West Coast.
Yeah.
That's a road trip movie begging to happen.
Word to the wise, don't light the tiki torches until at least you get Nevada.
Yeah, exactly. Strategy.
You're better off storming. Actually, you're better off. Tell you what you do.
Okay.
You can stop at the Varian offices in New York. All you want.
Look, go to the continuity office.
They shut down months ago.
Oh, did they?
Oh,
continuity? Continuity?
No, Varian. The Varian office.
Varian. No.
Yeah,
no,
that's all up for rent. All of that.
Oh, okay.
So
go to the continuity offices. Go look at some beautiful, Neil Adams artwork. It'll calm you down.
Just don't bring your portfolio.
You're better off
unless you want to cry.
Storming San Diego Comic-Con. But then I thought about it. Just don't go. That'll send a clearer message to them than anything. You mess with their pockets. They will say,
it's that easy.
Yeah. Don't go. Don't storm.
But everybody wants to be dramatic. That's what it is. Good for the, it's like you can't, you know what it is? You can't live stream actual activism.
and do not wear indie vote shirts when you do so.
Oh,
If you're gonna go to that, I don't want to be sitting there with Wolf Blitzer and Don Lemon looking at me like this.
So Varian, you're saying you want to like the match, you just don't want your fingerprints on the
I no, you know what? I tell them, listen, these are very good people. They're very good people.
I'm saying it.
Who stormed those offices. They care about.
He still doesn't want everybody to know that he's got the website whenweriot.com.
I sure do. Oh man, I'd be so.
He's already been questioned by the FBI for it, so please.
Yeah, he already got questioned over it.
Yeah,
so.
Dylan, don't ever write back.
Mr. Grant, why do you have this website? I thought it'd be fun.
Yeah. I'm also the guy who I have Last Call Comics, so I thought it would be very funny to call the booth girls that I have the Last Call Girls.
Okay.
PayPal didn't go funny at all. PayPal said it says call girls in your PayPal address, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's just so PayPal said yes. So we're gonna be restricting.
You change that name, Mr. Grant.
Yes.
Yeah. They restricted my account
and keep your money
for months. They kept it. Yeah.
They're not required to return because they're not a bank.
Yeah, oh, they returned it because I let them know.
Daniel, the answer is no.
I'll make that. I'll make
just
that
kidding.
Trip. I'll make that trip. I don't care how money's there or not. I will drive across state for
barely.
$300. I don't care.
All right, let for those listening, what was the question? That was it Daniel?
Daniel says, does anyone remember Moo Mesa?
Oh yeah, Cowboys Moo Mesa.
I'm blind.
Barely.
That was after your time, Mr. Roseman.
I remember Cowboys Moo Mesa.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the cool thing about that show, they had this action figures were on scale with Ninja Turtles, as I recall. My buddy had some. He's a big Cowboys and Mesa fan. The problem was here in Michigan, it came on so early. I think it was 6:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. Yeah, ew.
Remember, you used to wake up like that, like normally.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, I would watch it. I love the intro. They had a really cool intro song, and they don't do intro songs anymore, guys. You notice that cartoons they show a title card and that's it. There's no more catchy.
We're talking
about to pay for that.
Probably some of the best stuff to come out of the 80s cartoons are phenomenal theme songs, literally composed and written by real music composers.
Right. Yeah, Pops, I gotta go check out this exhibit. So if I don't have a diaper on,
chin diaper, they'll have.
I'll get used to it.
Then I'll be on the outside. From Indie Vote Radio also, and this is actually relevant to what I just went through. Guys, his name is Bernie. Oh, it's right. It's Bernard.
Oh, Bernard,
but it's in I something after that, so I can't make out your last name. I'm sorry. But he says, "Hey guys, I just purchased a large scanner copier so I can get my work done on my own time. I wish someone would have told me that the ink and whatnot is so expensive for these things.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he feels like he's gonna spend more on the ink than he did on the printer." Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, that's the scam. That's the scam. Yeah.
That's how they make their money. That's how they make their money.
Yeah. I just purchased some new unicorn blood. The wife actually got it. Actually, I have two printers here. I have a big. You can't see it behind. Well, maybe you can. There's a big Epson over here, and then a small Epson here.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I got my back here too. There was a fantasy artist that was making a living selling prints of his work that he bought a really high-end printer, and he did so much printing. He bought so much ink that the company would literally give him a new printer.
Wow.
Because
it's not the printer that they're making their money on.
Spending so much money on the ink. It's amazing.
That's right. You want to storm somewhere? Storm Epson and Lexmark. You storm them and say,
see how far that gets you.
Because you know what they've done though. The technology they keep talking about creating is those little chips they put on. The ink ribbons or the ink cartridges. Now they have sued and lobbied so you can't get them refilled. they have done things to make it impossible.
Mhm.
For a while, Office Depot was doing refills,
Mhm.
and they got their asses chewed out about that. And companies start talking, "We're not going to give you stock. We're not going to do anything."
Right. Yeah, that avoids your warranty if you
Yeah.
try to use like non,
So-
branded materials.
that-
and, yeah.
So the cartridge companies don't sell the refill ink anymore?
No, a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't.
A lot of them don't.
In fact, there was a guy who's made it his mission. He's on YouTube to take down the printing company. But
Yeah. Good
he's,
for him. Someone has to do it because that's ridiculous.
he removed that chip, that little small green microchip off of the printer ink, and he got another. He said he got another 100 or so pages out of his cartridge.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he removed it, and he said it bypassed whatever, because that chip tells them, "Hey, here's how much ink."
And it shuts your printer down.
Yeah, and your printer, because it's Wi-Fi, is sharing information with, your in my case,
Everything's a
Epson.
snitch.
Yeah.
Everything.
And I'm quite sure that they stopped the printing when it still got plenty of ink.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they know when they know how frequently I buy. They know. Hey,
Yeah.
you replace the cartridge.
You can't even because it's like I had to. I have what do I have? An HP and a Canon too,
Mhm.
and it's like, and I have to use genuine products because it
Mhm.
will not recognize third party inks.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's similar to back in the early 90s when there were VCR and CD player companies that would not let you play certain CDs, certain product on their player, which I thought that's insane.
Yeah.
That's like record companies having needles that only played their records. I mean, that's,
Right. That was
the
the very
DVDs are still
beginning,
broken down by region.
Yeah.
Are they really?
Oh yeah.
But for some reason, Blu-rays aren't. From what I read, that Blu-rays are not broken down by region.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, they might not be. They might not be. I know games are broken down by region.
Now, we also know that Family Video is now closing doors because it's, not nearly enough business for people wanting to out and rent a DVD. You can get everything online now.
Well, what's funny? It's like I had read that the real reason why Blockbuster went out of business is not because people weren't renting VHSs or anything. It's because they didn't own the property. And what happened was the rents got out of control.
Really?
That's very
Yeah,
likely.
that they didn't own the property, and that's the real reason why they went out of business.
No kidding. Wow.
I always thought it was the red boxes.
Right.
chased
No,
them out.
it's real estate. It was all real estate.
No kidding. Wow. That's
Ah,
I want to read that. Can we put that back up?
Yeah.
Who wants to buy my GameStop stock?
I'll trade you AMC. For
You better sell
GameStop.
it quick, Rebel. That's all I can tell you. Better sell it real fast.
AMC, I've seen articles once that AMC staves off bankruptcy. Listen, guys, I just want to put this out there. Help your boy out. Go do that to Wizard so I can sell real quick. Do that to Wizard so I can sell. I need to get out. I'm upside down on my stock.
I've been telling you that for years, though. Empyrean Vole is here asking the eternal question that we've all asked. Betty Rubble was so hot. How did Barney rate that?
So,
I don't know, Fred.
do you do
Hey, Fred.
Flintstones naked?
I got the skills, Fred.
There's a market for that.
Absolutely. Scott hasn't seen that yet. We have a third party person with that whenever we have a new artist on, he always asks the eternal question.
Yeah.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked? There's a market for that.
Sorry, Ethan. I can't lay claim to that. I've done a lot of
I
properties, but
love that.
A man responsible for $1 million campaigns wants to know.
Yeah.
See one in there.
Now, they're speaking of our friend Ethan. Now there's a person that's got a tight grip on his audience. Boy, talk about raising Kickstarter funds for almost everything he does. That's amazing.
But that's that's why the whole thing. I mean, it's not just Dylan, whoever he is. It's just a general attitude that it's like, oh, unless the big companies do it, it doesn't count. You know, even though
yes.
we've been, you know, so it's infuriating that it's like, you know, it's like, look, these are conglomerates. These are IPs. These are not characters anymore. They're not, those characters are not here to entertain you anymore. It's like Randy said, they're here to sell underoos and things. I mean, it's like, the bean counters don't even know what comics are. It's like,
you can tell that by the type of product that you see from these people anymore. They're not pushing any type of heroic stories or role models or anything like. They're pushing ideas for the next CW show. That's what they're trying to push.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just like, okay, yeah, it has nothing to do with publishing anymore. I mean, look, the fact that we moved to California was the biggest red flag, because publishing is New York. California is media. It is film and TV.
And even the secondary comic companies that are out there, the non-mainstream from like Dark Horse on down, they're not doing comics anymore. They're not pushing IPs. They're not looking to promote brands. They're out there selling a story with a bad title that's 1 of 4, 1 of 6, whatever, in order to try to net the Netflix deal.
Or
whatever streaming deal is out there. You don't see anybody out there pushing brands. You know, Dark Horse has got Ghost, for example, and Hellboy. All of these, they had an entire superhero universe. So they are acquiring a new superhero universe, but they're pulling it up from South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that they're not pushing brands, and that's what makes comics. It's the fact that you have a customer coming back month or every other month in order to find the latest adventures of the character that they like.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not seeing that. You're seeing a lot of meandering talking heads going through situational stuff that they think might make a good movie.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of the great power, literally power, that sequential art has for over exaggeration that still outdoes anything that you can see on film under the right talent. That still outdoes anything that you see on film or television.
And then it's like and then these same companies, they try to come onto Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and these same people are going, oh, they saved us. It's like, who are they? No, they're not. They're taking advantage of you. They're only coming onto Kickstarter and Indiegogo to create, I guess, social capital that they can turn around and sell to Netflix.
Because that's where the money is.
Right, exactly. It's like,
that's where the money is being generated.
You think that Keanu Reeves project was about saving independent comics? Give me a break. No, that's to make sure that Netflix knows that this is a viable product, even with Keanu Reeves attached to it.
Amazingly, after that, though, Boom did acquire Magic the Gathering, the license. Wonder where they got the money to do that.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, it's like, so it's like, you know what? It's like, just let it go with these companies. They're done. We're here.
And the only thing that we have to, I think the things that we have to take away from that is, like I said, some of the landscape of that hill we got to climb. I mean, Marvel and DC still stand as an example of how to, one, they know how to publish product, and they know how to get it out there, and they know how to handle the business end of things. So those of us that are out there, and there's tons of us out there that want to do our own thing, even if it's in combination with other like-mindeds. The thing is, we've got to be able to get a handle on getting the stuff out regularly, being consistent, being able to promote it, and all that kind of stuff.
Marketing.
And so there's still quite a bit of a hill for us to climb.
Yeah.
Because, the quality of the content is not the issue. It never really has been.
Well, despite what
bolts,
despite what the former EIC at DC would complain and say, the talent is more than out there.
Oh, sure.
In this market, and the talent can come back to it again too, because a lot of this talent was chased off by these big companies who you either didn't draw right, you didn't write right, or you weren't the right ism to fit whatever pigeonhole that they wanted at the time, or whatever. In this market, in the alternative and independent and the crowdfunding market, we're allowed to create what we want, when we want, and how we want.
Exactly. And one of the gravest sins I know Marvel committed back some years back was when Joe Quesada, and I'll never forgive him for this, he started pushing this ageism agenda with Marvel at the time.
Yep.
He literally said, "Hey, you get to a certain age and you just lose your voice. That's just what happens to all of us."
They just
It
stop.
just goes away. It just goes
Yeah,
away.
and I just think to myself that's awfully convenient for Quesada to say that, because he's got a company pension he can rely on when he retires.
Golden parachute.
Yeah, and so and I thought that
Probably about to be pulled if it hasn't been pulled already.
I just couldn't believe that somebody a fellow artist went in there and started saying that, sometimes you just lose your voice, you got to be replaced by young people. And the thing is,
because
because it's kind of like uncouth to just say, it's like, yeah, these youngins, they get paid cheap.
Yeah, they got the hands on the
paid.
pulse of the country. These young,
sure.
that's why we take all these great questions from people like Brian. Yeah.
And I thought right when I first heard that and read that and heard it from other people, I thought that's a death knell right there. Because
when I hear that from people, you know what I respond with? You know how old Jack Kirby was when he did the Fantastic Four #1?
Yeah, 45 years old.
He's 50.
50.
You know how old he was when he did New Gods?
Well, probably 60, wasn't it?
61.
Yeah. Mean, my God.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I keep thinking
that's what ageism does for you.
Yeah, exactly.
All these young artists, what's going to happen when they reach that, kick out age?
Yeah, they're going to panic because they're going to think that they're forever, and it's like, it's going to be Logan's run now.
This is
you're 30? Out.
Well, fortunately, this is an art form that has no age limit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It has no, and thanks to the mainstream, it really has no retirement either.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yep.
You saw what Will Eisner is doing in his early 80s. My God, it was the best work of his life.
Yep. You know how old H.G. Peters was when he did Wonder Woman? I found this out the other day. So, when Marston hired him to do Wonder Woman, you know how old he was?
No.
61.
Oh my God, really?
It's like, you know what it is? It's like this is the type of a thing. It's kind of like writing, it's like
if you go back and look at his style, you see the 30s influence.
You need the maturity.
Art Deco.
To make your best work.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Orson Welles was quoted as saying that creative people tend to have two phases in their life when they probably do their best work, is at the absolute very beginning for a little while, and then mostly at their older age.
Yeah.
He says, because you there's nothing like youthful energy to inject into something, but even more so, there's nothing like a life's experience to put it.
Right, exactly.
But that's also when he did his best drinking too.
Well,
that's true. That's
another issue.
another thing altogether.
Yeah.
No, it's true. Hey, listen, I got to scoot out just for a little while, guys. I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay.
We're gonna wade through this chat. We'll see you.
Okay.
Come back, Scott. Come back.
Now that Lord Reverend Varian is gone.
Right.
William Pace says, I know three of you.
Hello.
Hi, William. Thanks for listening. Pop says, I said, Mister, I know I'm a never do well. LOL. There we are. Let's keep rolling through the chat here. William says, demonetized, and I haven't even been
on the show.
On the show. Yeah. Well, we're demonetized. Well, we're not demonetized. It's just that we've never been monetized.
Right, yeah, it's like exactly.
Us younger folk remember math on the original Bad News Bears. That's how far back our chat has gone now. I love Grumpy Old Men. Used to watch those movies with my dad all the time. I think I saw that Marvel exhibit in Philly in 2019. You probably did. It was literally stalled at the Henry Ford for all last year. We were only supposed to have it for a few months, and we ended up having it for the year.
Right. You know what's funny is that I think
of restrictions.
Yeah, I think that I don't know how long this exhibit was traveling for, but I think I might have passed on, like, I was in Vegas like 2 years ago, and there was like a Marvel exhibition there, and it never occurred to me to go see it. Oh, and I think that this might have been it, like a Marvel experience or something. I don't know if it's the same thing though.
Well, this is moving over to the Art Institute of Chicago next.
Okay.
So it'll be over there, I believe, in March, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh-huh.
LMAO, I'm not touching that shit.
Well,
In fact,
hey.
off camera, I had Professor Trico write me to tell me that stop sucking that dick needs to be a new thing on the show.
Right. I mean, really, it's
Then we will really be demonetized.
Right,
probably
exactly.
pretty quickly.
I mean, it's like way too many people put a lot of weight on these companies, and it's like, and I don't understand. Like, okay, I do understand the nostalgia factor of it, but at the same time, it's like there just comes a point where you got to know when it's over. It's over, Johnny.
Yeah, sorry, folks. I didn't mean for that comment to hit the air.
Yeah.
No. Mike says. Empyrean Vale says no. Obviously, there's something that people weren't agreeing with. Nine Realms says I love Daphne. That probably goes back to that remark you made earlier. I'll lead that charge, William. Obviously.
Okay.
Here comes the rant. Yep.
Uh-huh.
We've had a few of them this morning. LMAO. Well, there's Empyrean. If Dell Gold Key Comics Illustrated never needed the comics code, then nobody ever needed it. That's very true.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said still about what the Comic Code Authority was out there to do, and it wasn't what everybody thinks it was supposed to do. It was intentionally done to drive a couple of the older adult publishing companies out of business because they were at that point literally selling millions of copies of comics, and they felt it was going in the wrong direction. And there was some folks out there, Archie, that really wanted comics to stay for kids. And so they created the Code Authority in conjunction with the Senate hearings. They just took convenient advantage of that in order to create the Comic Code Authority to chase off not only government sanctions, but to also be able to promote their books to the top of the rack.
I mean, hey, it's like if you can't beat the free market, regulate it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well said, Daphne. I have to say, hard pass to Dylan's idea for a lot of
people. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Good morning, Trish. Glad you're listening in.
Good morning.
Zegency, Joe D. McPhee. Best way to put it is stop looking at the mainstream name brands for something that is being done by a lesser known brand.
Yeah.
There's plenty of entertaining comics out there. You just have to find them.
Yeah.
That's why we have shows like this to go out and point out some of these campaigns that folks are missing out on. Also, just because someone isn't doing a book now, you like it, it doesn't mean they're ruining the book.
That's another thing too that I also have, because I have a lot of issues. We work in comics, so of course we do, right? So is the whole thing that it's like people confusing their personal preference with the a global idea, that it's like, oh, because I don't like something, that means that it's bad all around.
Right.
I mean, because it's kind of like arguing about the new Star Wars movies. It's like there are people who absolutely love it, and then there are people who absolutely hate it. And it's like, well, okay, depending on which side of the fence you're on, it's like, you don't know, because it's like, yeah, exactly, right? But it's like, it's kind of like, the kerfuffle with She-Ra, with the new She-Ra cartoon, right? Before that came out, I watched 3 documentaries about Masters of the Universe and the toy companies and whatnot. And all 3 of these documentaries said that according to their demographics, there were no boys who liked She-Ra. They go, oh, that's the lame line because their sisters played with it. They were into He-Man and this, that, and the other thing. And then the second the new She-Ra came out, all these dudes came out of the woodwork to protect the honor of She-Ra. And it's like, dudes, where did you come from? You had an entire industry telling me that you guys didn't exist.
And yet, from my perspective, the truly amazing part is there was actually 3 documentaries on He-Man.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. Who knew?
Who knew?
So it's like, and they're saying, this She-Ra sucks and this, that, and the other thing. And I watched the first episode and I'm like going, okay, this is different. And also I'm not like a 10-year-old girl. So I'm definitely not the demographic.
I sat through the first episode of the new Rocketeer that they had.
Right. Oh, I didn't know they had one.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's not.
It's the crappiest piece of shit you ever seen in your life, but it's as bad as you can imagine.
Right. Yeah.
Taken with a modern Disney princess perspective.
Oh well, that's also another thing too. That Disney has to princessify everything now. So, it's like you're either a princess or you're a villain, and there's no gray area. Yeah.
Those Euro-produced Disney Daphne showed a few weeks ago are a great example of how comics could start a comeback for kids. Absolutely. I've started collecting them. There's a bunch.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, but the thing is, though, it's like but that's also, we're talking about an industry that's really not interested in that. That's the thing. As long as Diamond has a stranglehold has this like Svengali stranglehold on retailers, it's like they're not interested in expanding the market the way they need to survive. Right. They think that Funko Pops are the ways to do it, as opposed to Dark Horse puts out these Disney comics.
Yeah. And a lot of folks, myself included, it's the first time we've even heard that they were out. So.
Yeah. No, I was surprised too. It's like JD had gotten me Treasure Island, Disney Treasure Island, and I'm like going, wait a minute, what is this? And the thing is, you can tell that this is like European market stuff, and it's like that's a different world over there. Yeah,
it's a whole different market. I was fortunate to see I believe it was IDW did a couple of the Duck Avenger,
right?
Which is Donald Duck as a superhero that came out of Italy. That was amazing, just great stuff. But I'm a sucker for funny animal superheroes anyway.
Yeah, so it's like so it's like, okay, so it's like, so even you got to know where to look. Yes, Disney is another conglomerate, but it's like I enjoy the fact that these books exist.
And the cool thing that these companies not so much anymore. They used to be about making money, and they would go and take their properties in the direction that would make them the most money. Stan Lee knew back in the 60s that if he opened up the comics and gave them literally, I think the slogan was "the world that's outside your window," that the market would open up. Jack Kirby with FF52, I believe it was, when he had them land in Wakanda and they introduced Black Panther, he says, I want to do this because there's no black superheroes out there, or at least none in the mainstream at that time. And that's why they did it. When they didn't do it because they thought that they needed a soapbox to stand on. Right. They did it because there was a potential market out there that was totally untapped. Right. And the last 30 years or so, these thanks to the system that's been out there, and it's not one particular person. You can point your finger in 5 or 6 different directions at this. They narrowed down to a horrible demographic of mostly white, mostly male, mostly 25 to 55, and male power fantasies or circle template curves. And it's taken a long time to break that. And unfortunately, when you break something like that, sometimes it gets broken in the wrong direction or in an exaggerated direction. But comics are all about exaggeration. It's just a matter of getting back to what matters. And with these corporations, if they were to believe in printing enough and believe in their product enough, they'd realize that you get back to money, because that's how these corporations survive, is on their quarterly reports. So instead of soapboxing, maybe they should be producing quality.
Well, you have to pay for that. That's the thing. No, but also it's like
got to spend money to make money.
Yeah, right. Kind of going back to the Hot Wheels thing that Varian was talking about, but how much of that's centering on like narrowing everything down to that demographic has to do with the fact that male children have more of a tendency to be collectors, obsessive collectors, than maybe like any other demographic that might be more casual about it. Because that's also something that I keep getting told. It's like, oh well, it's like, this demographic's important because we collect. We're obsessive collectors.
I can't see that.
Yeah.
I can't see that as being correct anyway.
Right.
That's a subjective viewpoint,
Mhm.
because I've seen plenty of women out there be collectors.
Right.
My wife collects tennis shoes, but
Oh,
she
yeah.
also collects comics.
Uh-huh.
You know, she's got
She's
more
a
shoes than I've ever
She's a
than most
sneakerhead.
people. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't go after specific brands and can't
Right.
wait for the next volume of whatever to come out. It's
Uh-huh.
just that she's got a lot of shoes,
Right.
you know, but she also has a lot of books. She has a lot of comics. She collected me. So I guess that's, I can't complain there. So she can put up with a lot. Trish says Razor's one of my favorite titles.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, Everett Hartsoe. Yeah. I remember.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
There's a name I haven't heard in quite some time.
No, I was kind of chuffed to see
long
him
time.
on Kick. Yeah, exactly. I was chuffed to see him on Kickstarter. It's like still go. You know, that's the funny thing too. It's like a lot of these people in the 80s that I thought disappeared, and it's like they're all on Indiegogo. They're all on, Kickstarter. It's
Well,
like,
it's because that's where you can find your audience. That's
Yeah.
You don't have to go through the diamond hoop and the retailer hoop, and we've already had those discussions on these programs lots of time about the retailers they were trained like Pavlov. They had Pavlovian responses to that previous demographic that I mentioned earlier, and that's all they catered to, and it's gotten to be a bad stigma for them.
Right. Like there was another book called China and Jazz. I don't remember who did that, but I remember when they were new, and it was just like, it's not my type of book, but I was just like really happy to see them again.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, I remember you from back in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had Andrew Peepoy on here with Simone and Ajax. And I was hoping to get, we have an open invitation out there for Tim Tyler, because I've stumbled across his Kickstarter the other day. He's got a Kickstarter, Grail 1. If you're into horror and into the old Warren and the old EC books, holy crap, what a quality look that Tim's been doing. And one of these days hopefully we'll get him talked into coming on the show and talking about it. Yeah, but just some incredible stuff out there.
Yeah,
like
there was another
I was saying earlier.
Yeah, there was another one. Trekker was another one. There was one book.
Oh
I
yeah,
remember
Ron Randall. I think he's already collected Trekker a couple of times.
Like I'm like, oh, you're still out there. Like there's one that I have to actually do a search to see if they're still around. They used to do a book called Micra. And it was kind of like,
again, another name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Remember that he had a very Vargas look to his
That's
voice.
the name I was. Yes, it was just like really, really fun stuff, and I was just like, oh, just gorgeous stuff. And it's like I have to see if that one's still around. But you see, every time I see these things, I get like I have to lie down for a while.
Yeah. To dig up that old nostalgia. Holy
crap.
There's some graphic novels back here I've been meaning to dig up for Sunday Funnies just to go look at this. This was cool.
Right. Like there was like
more of where are these guys?
Right. Like you remember Crow of the Bear Clan?
Yes, I do.
Right, that one. Yeah. There was one book that only came out as an issue 0. I can't find it for the life of me, but it was called Tales from Empire's Edge. And I regret losing that comic because it only had an issue 0, gorgeous furry artwork in it. I call it furry only so that everyone knows what I'm talking about, but I don't think the guy was a furry. I think he was just like really, really a top-notch artist. And for the life of me, I can't remember like who did it, where my copy is, or anything. Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. I'm pulling that up.
Right.
Nope, that's Tales from the Edge.
Right. No. It's Tales from Empire's Edge. That's what. Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding
Edge of Empire. Yeah, I don't see it here under the.
It's like the main character was like this reindeer guy, and he had a raccoon sidekick, and it was kind of like a D&D type thing, but it was so up my alley. But it never went past issue 0.
Yeah, all I'm getting here is Star Wars and Tales from the Empire. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to keep looking for it, but yeah, I might actually have that because that sounds very familiar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Crow of the Bear Clan was one that it's like, because yeah, that one. I don't know. Are there any books that you remember from back then that you haven't seen in a while?
I'm looking at my Facebook right now, Brian. If you want to respond, you might want to jump over to my timeline. The Indie Volt might not be set correctly. The Indie Volt page on Facebook, because sometimes if we don't click it for public and it's just set up for friends, it won't show up in our comment section, Brian. So there, Brian must have found the way around that, because he said, definitely, Daphne, it's fairly difficult to capture inner disgust. Yeah. What was your question now? I'm sorry, Daphne.
Like what books do you remember from back then that you haven't seen in a while, or you've all of a sudden seen pop up?
Well, like I said, I could do an entire video on just obscure stuff. Ismet the Dog Avenger was an amazing book. It was a little crude in the artwork, but the idea was amazing, about a dog who was a troubadour who watches his girlfriend get killed by a race of invading humans. And decides to start doing guerrilla warfare against the humans.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh yeah, Ismet the Dog Avenger. You can't find that anywhere anymore. Very rarely do you even see it mentioned. But same thing with like First Kingdom. You don't hear First Kingdom around very much anymore. Or Tandra. Tandra was amazing work that was out for a while. That was a Flash Gordon type of fantasy book that was just beautifully done. Icon Devil, I mentioned that the other day, by a guy named Spider. He kicked out 2 issues, and it was the most beautifully done, well written bit of confusion that you've ever seen in your life. I mean, you really had to dig in. It was like Southland Tales. You really had to figure out where the pieces were all fitting together. But it was such a beautiful book, you know. Another favorite of mine was Xeno's Arrow, which would have made a phenomenal animated film about a group of animal alien creatures that found out that they were on a floating zoo. It was kind of like a takeoff of the old TV show Star Lost, or Harlan Ellison created it as rewrote the pilot as Phoenix Without Ashes. That was also an amazing concept, but it was a derivative of that concept, where the animals were waking up and then they were bumping into each other's cages and realizing that they were all on a large zoo, and that the zoo was a large spaceship, and the spaceship was slowly floating towards the sun.
Oh my goodness. Not a downer at all.
It was one of those Onion properties. Well, they did a season on NBC of a show called Star Lost. That was like that, where it was a slowly unpeeling onion. This was right after Star Trek, the original run. I believe it was shortly after Fantastic Journey, if you ever remember seeing that, about a group of people that were traveling from dimension to dimension trying to find their home. And they were like Wizard of Oz. They were collecting people along the way. Like they picked up an alien. That's where Varian was named from. Was from a character from Fantastic Journey who was from the future and had a gun that had a tuning fork on the end of it that it was a sound weapon. And they picked up a girl from Atlantis who had a cat that she would telepathically talk to. And then they bumped into a 1960s mad scientist who was played by Roddy McDowall.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I definitely have to check it out. Yeah.
It was about as close to like Skull the Slayer that Marvel did that you've ever seen, because they kept changing direction and bringing characters in and dropping characters, and it was really interesting. And then every world that they were on, it was like Doctor Who and the TARDIS. It was always a problem that they had to solve, usually a socially relevant problem. And then they moved on to the next gateway point, and then they jumped into another dimension. That one of those shows that they need to reboot, just like Star Lost and Blake 7. They desperately need to. One of these days they'll remake Blake 7, and everybody will go, where did this show come from? Holy crap. Yeah. On purpose, LOL. Varian, and not the chin diaper. Yeah, that's how far back our chats are, folks. Sorry. Now we're just slowly catching up here. I really want to talk to you, Daphne, about Ego Raven here.
Oh, sure.
Because I know you're getting close.
Yeah, I'm on it's like on the last. Let me. I'm on the last.
Empyrean Vol says Teen Titans Go. You're on the last 2.
Last 6 days.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, 6 days to go on it.
that was a great theme song. Let me pound through these
Sure, yeah.
real fast here. Isn't that always the thing with printers? Yeah.
I know with the
Stuff like that.
Canon, depending on the printer that you have, like I know that the Canon Pixma
Scour the
100,
covers before folding, yeah.
you can actually jerry rig it to do like a constant ink flow. But it requires like a kit or something. I've seen people do it online, on YouTube. Just look it up on YouTube. So it's like if you do a lot of printing, that might be the best bet for that.
I use Insta Ink, $10 a month for 300 sheets a month, but they have higher tiers.
Yeah.
Williams says you need the IV refillable ink systems. Yeah.
That might be what I'm just talking about right now. Yeah, because it's like it looks like IVs going into the print the head, ink heads.
Yeah, that's cool. Normally it costs about $60 for replacement cartridges for my inkjet printer. Yeah, same here from a normal store, but I usually get double the color ink and quadruple the black for $9 total online. Now that's cool.
Yeah. You just have to make sure that you can kind of work around the printer freaking out because like, oh, it's not official.
COVID's a big factor. COVID's always a big factor. Let's not go there. Blockbuster had a chance to invest in Netflix and they passed. Yep.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, I remember that.
Doesn't want to see Kickstarter. He uses Indiegogo. People that want to buy comics are out there. Yeah. Comics. They are out there, and the market is growing. The independent market is growing. I think you're going to see over the next couple of years a big boom on crowdfunding. I think it's really seriously the Wild West of comics right now. Sorry, I can't type today. That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
We hope you're doing all right, buddy. I know he's under a 2-week lockdown before he has some procedure done.
Oh.
So Rebel Comics, Larry, we hope you're gonna do well. We know you're gonna do well, but we hope you're holding up. Show me something cool and different, and I throw money at it. LOL. Yeah, that's us too. Netflix will take that movie deal. Have your people call my people. Yeah, you'll take it for now, Larry. But there's not that much money in the Netflix deals.
No, it really isn't. It really, yeah.
The downfall of comics into television properties is kind of speaks to the boring cinematic realist art style that is popular now. There is a big problem in comics right now on that. That's because comics are so can be so mind expanding and they're literally limited by your imagination. But we always seem to put these walls up and these blinders on about what comics are, what they should be, or what they need to be, or what I need to do in order to get this deal or whatever. And we shouldn't be doing that. Comics should be whimsical and fun and serious and dramatic and bloody.
Comics, you can do whatever you want, and then you have all these people who are limiting it to like, well, if I do it the way I want it, it'll be expensive. So I want to make sure that Netflix picks it up. So, like, you're literally limiting your art form.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's right, Glenn. I respect the fact that you're an authority, so I'm sure you're more correct than I am on it. But I always thought he was 50 or 51 when he did the FF and 61 when he did the New Guys.
No, but still, though, he wasn't 30. That's the main point, you know.
And he never had to retire.
Yeah. But the funny thing, though, as artists, I mean,
Picasso 80 before he became huge. Yeah. Say what? Could you retire?
Yeah. It's like, would you like really? It's like
What you need is talent.
Well, yeah, but Paul McCartney. I mean, that he's that's
McCartney was don't want to say don't want to say an aberration or a phenom, but he also had Lennon. There were a couple of genius writers bouncing off of one another for that Beatles period.
Yeah, I mean that's why there's only one McCartney and one John Lennon. I mean it's not like not everybody can sit down and write yesterday.
That is very true. The cool thing about McCartney is he's not afraid to grow either. He just kicked out an album within the last couple of months, and whenever one of his songs pops up on Sirius, the wife goes, "Who the hell is that?" It's like, well, dear, that's Paul McCartney. No, it isn't. It's like, well, censor right there. Paul McCartney.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
very different sound than what he had.
I mean, because that's the thing. It's like, yeah, you do need talent. It's like skill and talent go hand in hand.
Yep.
Talent, it's like talent gives you the leg up. It's like, it's like I could really, really grind, but I will never be Arthur Adams. It's like I will never be Neil Adams. I mean, I could grind it to the nub. I mean, it's like there's just, that's where like different levels of talent comes in. It's like, the skill is necessary because I've seen a lot of lazy, talented people that never go anywhere. Yeah.
I just have to agree with that.
Yeah.
I've seen so much talent pissed away, especially in this market, that it's irritating.
And it hurts. And it hurts when you see it.
It does.
Yep.
Charles Santino, thanks a lot for listening. He says, I'm 65 and doing my best work and also
for real.
getting the most attention ever. Yeah.
I mean, I would rather be doing the work now. I mean, like the work that I'm doing now than I was when I was in my 20s. I mean, honestly, it's like, so I think this whole ageism thing has a lot more to do with these people are cheaper. They're cheaper and they're desperate, as opposed to, they have their pulse, they have their hand on the pulse of, the culture or whatever.
You also have to remember, the older you get, the more wiser you become. So eventually you're like going, why aren't I making 1,000 a page? Why am I having to struggle to pay my medical bills?
Right, exactly. It's like, because when you're older, you begin to really understand how much you're worth, and these companies know that. I mean, it's like, I remember a story being told about, the whole thing, learn coding, right? And this woman she was working a government job that she hated, and she had 2 kids she had to support. She was like in her 40s, and she goes, okay, so I'm going to go learn coding. So she went to school, learned coding, only to find out that nobody wanted to hire her because it's like, no, learn coding, just not you.
Yeah.
And to this day, she's stuck, in as far as I know, she's still stuck in her job because with this skill that she can't really, that she learned because everyone kept telling her, you have to learn it in order to get ahead. And it's like, no, that's not what companies really want.
Now I'm a little depressed because I thought that turned out to be J.K. Rowling.
Oh, yeah, she didn't learn coding either.
She didn't have to after a while.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, but I think that's where the ageism really has to do with it.
You go back, for example, on these, because I'm a big fan of this kind of stuff. Edgar Rice Burroughs, Baum is another example. Robert E. Howard is another example. These guys bummed around and did everything, did all sorts of different occupations and everything, and then they settled. They didn't settle on writing. They came to writing in a later age and then latched onto it, or they had it latched onto them. Baum, after he wrote Wizard of Oz, tried to write anything else. And he kept getting bags and bags of mail from kids going, why don't you write another Oz story? I think you should write another Oz story. Will you please write another Oz story? I mean, he did an American folk tales. He created a couple of other fantasy worlds that nobody uses nowadays. Awesome stuff, by the way. But then finally he went, all right, I guess I'll write another Oz story,
I mean, that's kind of it's a double-edged sword, right? I mean, it's like, it's kind of like, because I know I've told this story before, but it's like Stephen King, he had wanted to move on to other things other than horror, and he wrote this fantasy novel, some dragons or something, and he got death threats just for writing a fantasy novel because people were like going, no, you're supposed to be writing horror. I want you writing horror. You know what his next book that he goes, okay, you want horror? I'll write horror. You know what his next book was? Misery. It's like, this is about you, assholes.
About 23 according to timeline, but talent is important. However, talent doesn't factor with age. You can be talented at any age, not just a young age. That's very true.
Sometimes it takes you a while to find your talent too.
Yeah, the Marvel experience is different. They had it in Times Square for a while.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of wondering. Yeah.
Black belt. I use Thought Bubble at Empyrean Vol.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys want another guest? Nine Realms Comics. We're hanging on right now. We're waiting for Mr. Roseman to come back on. He's still in the back room.
Right.
We just didn't figure you wanted to stare at a blue screen for much longer. I'm trying to get through the comments
chat. Yeah.
right now, Mike. We don't have
I guess
much farther to go, and we really want to talk about Ego Raven here in a second.
Yeah.
Hello, Russ and Pops. Daphne, I like you too, and Randy's okay. Well, thanks,
I
Tristan.
like you too. I like
Thanks,
you
Tristan.
all.
I think you're okay too. Brian, and thanks a lot for listening. Brian Paul was 23 when it was released. He wrote it much earlier. Okay. I do like a lot of things that came out of the comics code because it forced people to try and be more creative in the way they told similar stories, but within the confines of a strict ruling. That's
debatable.
Yeah, that's your viewpoint, Brian. But you're right, because the code also infused the West Coast guys to go directly against it and start the underground movement.
Yeah,
which really led to the direct market.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, because that's also it's like an argument that I hear a lot too. That's like, oh well, if you have restrictions, it forces you to be creative, and it's like, again, another double-edged sword. It's like, yeah, but that's implying a lot about what you think I'm doing. Like I should be able to just write the stories to do the stories that I want and not have to worry about whether it fits in a box or not, and whether it'll make me more creative. It's kind of like people say that artists have to suffer to make good work. And it's like, no, I'd rather not suffer. Thanks.
Brian, if you really go back and see the origins of the code, the restrictions that were imposed on it were intentionally done in order to chase off EC and Charles Burrow comics, because at the time the ECs were literally raging off the stands, and Crime Does Not Pay had passed, I believe, the 4 million mark. It was really quickly closing in on the amount of sales that Captain Marvel Adventures was making from Fawcett before they shut it down. And Fawcett decided to stop Captain Marvel because they had started to see a dip in the superhero market, where their main forte was, because they were selling millions of copies of Captain Marvel Adventures every other week. That book had started coming out bi-weekly, and because they were just making bank so hard on it. But Fawcett's a whole nother story that we could take up a couple of big programs on. They're amazing. As far as stubbing or snubbing their nose at the system, just fascinating stuff. But there was a lot of clampdown on that because of the cries about juvenile delinquency. But that was the main excuse that some of these companies made to come and get their hooks on that spiral rack, because at that point the comics were being taken off of the newsstand and stuck on a separate spiral rack in the drugstores, and there's only so many slots. In fact, if you go back to the origin of Marvel, Timely Atlas was only allowed so many slots from the distributor on the spiral rack. That's why you saw Tales of Suspense and Tales to Astonish, where they took properties and split them in half in the book. You got Doctor Strange and Nick Fury, which was a weird combination, but it worked for Strange Tales. And that's because that's the only way that they could get those properties out and distributed. A lot of Marvel was bi-monthly when they first started, for that reason, so that they could get more product out on the stands and have it sit there hopefully longer, because they were the sales were dipping, and they saw the problem. They felt it was because they were getting so lost in the background of the spiral racks, because a lot of people that were loading up the comics were just tossing them in front, going down the line as the new comics came out, and the older comics sat in the back until the rack was filled up. Then they went through and found the older issues, pulled those, and returned them. So they were really getting lost a lot. And oh God, there is, and it looks awful. Oh, he was talking about they released the new Rocketeer.
Rocketeer, right? Yeah.
Says at least at the big two, yeah. And he goes, oh God. there is, and it looks awful. That's right. Yeah. I'm sorry I brought it up, but it's probably going to quickly jump into obscurity. It's a mess. He-Man and He-Man had Tila, Evil Lynn, and the Sorceress, and could have supported more female characters. Yeah. Yep. Hi Kino. Hi Pops. want to say hello to Russ. Russ, I hope you're doing well. Sorry we didn't bring you in today.
Oh, he's probably still packing.
CBB. Yeah, he probably is packing and mailing. Can't wait to see that book. Only Death Can Save Us, folks, coming out from Comic Book Black Belt. It's going to be awesome. Daphne, I got several titles from Henri Capin, European titles, and they are good. He sold them to me 10 for 10.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good deal. I mean, because those European, those hardcovers, I mean, usually they go for like $18 to $25 per issue. But like their issues is different than I mean, the
Russ had at least 2 careers. Yeah. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to step on
No. It's like, no. It's like, it just, yeah. If you can get 10 European comics for 10, that's a deal.
Varian Grant's keeping his eyes on us. This is a great Varian Grant. Was 26 before he got into comics, but we can't all be perfect.
Oh, well.
Marv says, hello, everyone. Hello, Marvy. Hope you're doing all right. Still at work, but I'll see you in a bit on the replay.
Catch you later.
Holy crap. I've hit the end of the chat. Thank you very much, everybody.
There we go.
For chatting. The chat is still open, by the way. Yay. But right now,
everyone's awake today.
15 minutes to spare. We need to bring this up so that we can talk.
Yes, I have 6. I mean, it was the longest 30 days. I swear, someone had asked me, it's like, it's like, oh, what's it like, to do, like so many Kickstarters. And I'm like, it's like Groundhog Day. It's like every single Kickstarter is like doing one for the first time.
Is it? Did you learn a lot on this one? What'd you learn?
I learned a lot on this one. So my last my last campaign that I did was House of Bob sketchbook, and that campaign did more money on less backers, and it kind of vexed me for a bit until I realized that the sketchbook was a much more expensive campaign. I mean, like the average bundle that people would get was a $60 sketchbook bundle, and this one, the average the average level people are going for is the $10, the book and the PDF. So, but the thing, so once I realized what I was doing, it was like, oh, okay, so this is what's happening. But it's like, look at that. What am I up to? 98. I'm 98 backers, which is the absolute most backers I have ever gotten on any of my Kickstarters, from even with Tall Tales combined. So that is like a big thing for me. I was just going, holy moly, it's like we're 2 away from 100 backers. I've never had triple-digit backers. So I'm really happy that everyone is really liking this book and looking forward to the series, because I am so looking forward to putting this out, more issues out. So I appreciate every single one of you, as you like to say.
Yeah. Well, we do. We appreciate you all, especially anybody out there right now listening to Indie Volt Radio. We don't have the numbers in front of us, but we know you're out there, and we love you all and wish you a good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So,
So we also broke the first sticker stretch goal. So at 2,000 we break both stickers. So so I'm hoping in the next 6 days we can get all the stretch goals out of the way, right? This is my 80s. This is my 80s homage. I mean, really, it's that's if you like that's why Dungeons and Dragons, we were talking about that before, the 80s stuff. It's like they were such a huge influence, and and this is just you know what I really like, especially when people talk about their Kickstarters, when they say that this is their passion project.
Yeah,
I mean, that's something that you are not going to get out of Marvel and DC. You are not going to get people over there talking about, it's like, I've always wanted to do, but not in a superficial way. Like they just, like, oh, this is their favorite character. I'm talking about like, these are books from the heart. It's like, this is a story that I've been working on for like the past 20 years. And it's like, just to finally be able to get it out in a format that, in full color, like literally like 5 years ago, I couldn't do this.
Right.
So it's like, so full color, that, so I'm just really happy that so many people are having like a really good reaction to it.
Cool. And this was all done before you started your campaign.
Yes, everything is complete. I have the files ready to go. What's funny is that I was originally going to do an Indiegogo after this, but I'm kind of changing my mind on that. So it seems so if you're looking to pick up a copy, Kickstarter is going to be the place to do it. Maybe it's like I'll change my mind later as I get more issues under my belt, because I know that Indiegogo is a different audience, and I'm thinking maybe like the trade would do better, or if I have 4 issues under my belt, then it might, Indiegogo will probably be a better, it'd be better to do it then.
Yeah.
But right now it's like this will be the only Kickstarter will be the only place to get it. Oh, and I guess like for the people who are new in the room, so this is for my Kickstarter, Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn. It's a fantasy drama soap opera type, medieval soap opera type story. It's created, written, and illustrated by me. I did everything, unlike Tall Tales where JD does the writing. This one, I did everything on it. And I think it's going to be about 15 issues complete. And the comic series is in the style of the Chronicles of Narnia meets The Witcher. And it's 32 pages in full color. I updated the artwork slightly without redoing the entire issue because I didn't want to be that person, because I had originally had the artwork uploaded on my website for years. I was just like, it was my hobby. So every time I did a page, I was just put it up. So this is finally collecting everything in a physical format. So if you're into like medieval soap operas about dragons and unicorns and knights and all that sort of fun stuff, this is the book. Yeah. But 6 days to go. This is the longest 30 days as always, as every Kickstarter is.
Well, they say Kickstarters really age you, so
it really does. I swear. I mean, it doesn't matter how many of these I do. It's like, oh my God, it's 30 days.
Varian likens it to being the president of the United States.
You
age 30 years in the 4 years that you're in office. So it's like you age 3 years for every Kickstarter that you run.
Yeah, because it's like every time you run a Kickstarter, you're analyzing everything. And it's like, you're like, oh, why isn't it doing this? Why isn't it doing that? It's like, what's this? What should I change for the next one? And that's the thing too. So it's like, there's a couple of things that I'm going to, for the second issue, which I will be putting out in May. That one, like, I'm going to have it, like, one of the changes I'm going to make is, I'm going to have a tier that has all the variants on it, because I have like a bunch of people going, oh, well, these variants aren't together. What happens? Can we do that as an add-on? And I don't have add-ons. Kickstarter didn't give me that. So if you want to like add some like a sketch cover to the hollow variant, we can do that. It's just I just have to give you the amount that you have to add, and then we can add them all together. Another thing that I'm going to change for the next one is I'm going to raise the minimum goal.
Did you find that to be a problem?
It's really funny because JD was like wondering, I don't have a problem with that. It's like, no, every time I went on an interview, like a separate interview show, or I had people asking me, why is your minimum so low? And it was just like kind of weird how people were like suspicious about that. So, so on the next Kickstarter, I'm going to raise it to $750 to see if maybe people are more comfortable with that. I mean, it was like,
I'll ask you again, why is it so low?
Well, because that's the minimum I really need. It's like, I do everything myself. I'm not paying out for anything. I did the coloring myself, the lettering, putting it together. So that's pretty much my cost.
I was only gonna do 1,000 for Indie Volt Revolt, because the book's already done. Everything, hopefully by the time I go and start the campaign, everything, if not almost everything, will already be in house. and it doesn't matter. I'm just going to give an amount to a print on demand guy, and he's going to print it off, and I'm going to mail it out to folks. If it sells 100, it sells 100. If it sells 1,000, it sells 1,000. If it only sells 10, it only sells 10. Let's get it done and get it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but 1,000. I mean, it's like because 1,000. Yeah, 1,000 might be the good number, because I think what it is, like, people like those round numbers.
Yeah.
So probably, so I'll either do 750 or 1,000, just to kind of like, maybe I should sweat a little, to make goal. That's that might be a thing to do.
Brian from Dark Elf Design says, you forgot this comment. LOL. You never want to be those people. You only want to be the best Daphne you can.
Oh, yes, I'm trying to. Yes, thank you.
So I've backed 3 Kickstarters. So far, I'm 0 for 3 as far as actual rewards are concerned.
Oh, what? They're not that the Kickstarters didn't fund, or
must not have funded. Yeah, I think I've backed a half a dozen Kickstarters and about 2 dozen, I think, Indiegogos.
Right. Yeah.
Out of those, there's only like 3 of them that I regret. So.
Right. Oh, yeah. There's always at least one, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why. Thank you.
Congrats, Daphne. Those 98 backers are well deserved. This book looks great. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the amount of backers is like, come on, people, come on, make it even to 100. Let's go.
Yeah, only 2 more. Only 2 more. 2 more backers, folks. We can do it right now if you want. Two more. Take a look at that campaign. That's Eagle Raven, the Heir of the First Unicorn.
Yes.
First full color first issue.
Yes, and I have like I'm relettering the second issue right now. I'm just waiting for a new computer to come in so I can start coloring it.
So how many issues are done? Do you have the whole thing done? 5. I know you finished writing it.
Yeah, I have 5 issues complete. I have 2 issues laid out that I just need to pencil. And then I just have the rest of the series to finish. But the first 5 issues, like I said, I'm relettering. I just have to reletter them, and then I just have to color them in, and then we're good to go.
How many issues for the whole story, you think?
I'm no more than 15, no more, because it's gonna take me 4 years to put the series out.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, once you start looking at a series like that, it's like, oh yeah, I can't go too crazy.
Mike from Nine Realms says, being smart about it, Daphne, as far as IGG is concerned, if you did, I would recommend just transferring to do the in-demand for now. Keep an online storefront.
Oh, I can do that without running a campaign? Okay.
Yes, you can. They'll take campaigns that have met their goals.
Oh, okay.
On Kickstarter over on Indiegogo, from what I understand. But I think as far as doing a full on campaign, you have 100% in the right approach.
I was a little worried. I mean, I think that okay. Because I was thinking that, maybe if the numbers on this were higher, I would have felt more confident in doing an Indiegogo. But like I said, it has more to do with, maybe it'll do better if I have like 4 issues, and then, because I know the Indiegogo crowd can be a little bit more discerning.
Apparently, Mr. Rosema seems to have broken for lunch. So,
either
that or he's having an incredibly long constitution. So,
wow.
Constitutional. Getting that paperwork done. Yeah. We wish him the best. We're not sure if he's going to be back with us in time. Pat Koala says, Varian Grant. I didn't know what to say to that. Okay. How? How could he have been so young to get into comics, or what?
Well, I mean, it's like, I started, it's like 16, I think.
Yeah.
I started at 16. So yeah. Thank you, Glenn.
Beautiful work, Daphne. Absolutely.
Thank you.
CMAR V on CromCon on
absolutely, yes.
On Saturday. Marv just turned in his story for the Sin Killer, part of the Revolt. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like JD finally gave me the final files, so now I just have to tweak 2 little words, and then I'll have all our pages to you in about a couple of hours.
Oh, that's good. I really want to start that campaign here pretty quick. I got to start building those pages over there. They funded no rewards to me though.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh,
sorry about that. Brian. Anyway, Daphne, we're hitting the end of the show. You need to tell folks where they can get a hold of you.
You can find me at my main website at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS.com. You'll find all my social media there on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, the DeviantArt, the whole 9 yards. You can also, there are links to my Kickstarter there, and also to my other comic, Tall Tales, if you prefer your comics to be more running, skipping, jumping, climbing Mount Doom type of stuff. Then Tall Tales, there's a link to Tall Tales there for you. And also for all my weirdos out there, there's also a link to the House of Bob collection on Fur Affinity, which is the uncensored version of House of Bob. So if you always wanted to know what I was talking about, now you know.
one more backer. We need one more backer.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
Did it right here on the show. Yep.
Wow, I've never seen it do that before.
Broken awesome goals. 3 figures. Thank you very much, everybody.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's how good that book is, folks.
I am so verklempt right now. 100 backers. Holy crap. I have never had so many backers on a book before. I'm going to start crying right now. Oh my God. I appreciate every single one of you. I really hope that you guys enjoy this book. I mean, because I've worked so hard on it, and it's like I love every minute of it. I mean, I can't wait. There's so much I can't wait for you guys to see on this book. I swear.
Absolutely awesome.
Oh my God.
Congratulations. Thank you. Applause.
Wow. Today's a day of firsts. Wow.
I think Russ might have had something to do with it.
Oh, thank you, Russ. That means so much to me. Thank you.
Kino says, hooray, congratulations, Daphne.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And again, folks, for our radio audience, that's Ego Raven, Heir to the First Unicorn. You can find that on Kickstarter. Full color first issue available now. Only 6 days left to go on this campaign. So the campaign will be closed by the time we get around to the next Breakfast Buzz.
Yeah, it closes February 3rd.
February 3rd.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Next week, we'll be starting, hopefully, our own campaign. We have the anthology book that we're kicking out, Arrow Comics. It's starting up. Indie Volt Revolt will be our first anthology. It's going to be 100 pages, probably more than 100 pages. Depending upon if everybody turns their story in on time.
I'm working on it.
I didn't mean that at you. You already told me it was coming, and I know your artwork's done. So
yeah.
Everybody else out there are a lot of stories still floating out there. It's going to be an incredible book, folks. You should see the artwork on this. You're going to see a lot more about that next week as we talk about it. It will be there will be 4 covers. There will be 2 different there will be 2 different sets of covers. 4 in all that'll be available. It'll be a flip book. You'll go in at least 50 pages on each side. It's going to be great. And we're really looking forward to kicking that out and talking a lot more about it, which we will likely do here next week. Definitely. So, hey, everybody, we deeply appreciate you listening. This has been another episode of the Breakfast Buzz for Thursday morning, the 28th of January, probably our last show of the month. I think we'll even Sunday Funnies comes out in February, if I'm not mistaken. So
end of the I can't believe it's the end of the month already.
This year's gonna be crazier than last year, I'm afraid. So it's looking like it's going to be absolutely nuts. Varian just laughed in my face. No. Wait, what? I didn't catch that. Hang on just a second. I think that's it. Yeah, he's laughing. Anyway, folks, we deeply appreciate you listening. This has been the Breakfast Buzz, like I said, for the 28th of January, 2021. I've been your host. Daphne now is our co-host. Mr. Rosema. Mr. Rosema, are you there? No, he's not.
Oh, well.
So he's
we don't get to hear his sweet radio voice.
Yeah, we want to thank Scott Rosema for joining us this morning. We want to thank Varian Grant. He had to run off to that Marvel exhibit across town at the Henry Ford Museum. That's going to disappear here in a couple of days. And I think today was the only day that they had tickets available for it, because they're socially distancing and timing everybody out going through the display. I'm sure it's awesome. Sorry I didn't get down there to see it, but it's about an hour away from my house. So
Also, I think he said he was going to try to live stream it. So
yeah, I think he might. Yeah, I think he might live stream it. So you might want to keep your eyes open for that. It'll be on the Indie Volt YouTube channel. It'll be on the Indie Volt radio, I'm sure, depending upon how his connection runs, or it'll be on Facebook later. I'm sure he'll do a walkthrough on it just to show everybody how great it is. So, folks, we again deeply appreciate you listening. I will be back on Sunday morning. Daphne going to be back on Sunday morning?
Yeah, Sunday, yes.
All right. I still have to figure out what to do.
Okay.
Sunday morning, but the Sunday Funnies program. Pardon?
Maybe we should talk about, obscure comics, and
we're just going to start talking about one thing and end up talking about something completely different.
Right, exactly.
By the time we're done, but whoever I can get, whoever's foolish enough to be awake Sunday morning.
Yeah, no, but I'll definitely be
joining us. Awesome, good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, just something came up at the last minute last Sunday. So
yeah, JD was telling me, but I had to send out some frantic messages, and luckily we had Brian K. Morris and Glenn Fleming was on, and it turned out to be a phenomenal show. So it was really good. Sunday Funnies, that's 9 a.m. to 11 on Eastern Standard Time here on the Indie Volt Radio Network and on the Indie Volt YouTube and on Facebook. Also, don't miss the Monday night program at 9 p.m. with Michael Oden and Eric Hodson, who does Dreaded Dinosaurs. They talk about different digital comics that you can find online, mostly from Webtoons. They've had some phenomenal properties up on there to display that have been horribly overlooked because it's so easy. There's so many people over on Webtoons. Mr. Rosema's coming back.
Just in time to say goodbye.
Time to say goodbye, buddy. Yeah. We already made your excuses. We hope you had a good constitutional, got that paperwork done.
Oh yeah, basically.
Yeah, I was just mentioning
good breakfast.
You should at least leave on that sweet radio voice of yours. You sound like you should be doing cartoon voiceovers and stuff.
Well, I'll tell you, I have some background. I'm glad you mentioned that because I have all kinds of fun using my voice whenever it comes up. I have done radio in the past.
Oh, there you go.
I've done some books on tape and things like that. Cool. And I grew up imitating the guys doing voiceovers on cartoons all my life. So
there you go. There you go.
Would you like to
great Gary Owens?
Yeah. Gary Owens. Do you want me to regale you with a quick little take?
It's got to be quick. We're already over. Go ahead. Okay.
Metalis, this is Space Ghost. Can you hear me? That was so,
We can hear you just fine.
Too loud and too clear.
Too loud, too clear.
See, we got it all here. This is a one.
All we have to do is ask.
Yeah.
And everybody will be back Tuesday night. Varian and I will be back at 9 p.m. We don't know who's going to be on that program either, but that's our normal live wire program. Next month, we're going to be celebrating our second anniversary of podcasting, second year of podcasting on a regular basis with that live wire program. And again, we appreciate you listening. Then Wednesday nights, the Indie Princess comes on and Daphne comes on and Meredith Logren and anybody else that they can grab for a female perspective show called Geekgasm.
Yes,
that is also a lot of fun.
Run that?
What?
Does Krista still run that?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
We call her the Indie Princess. She also has a couple of non-different Lola. So she actually has a shoe cam now.
Yeah.
A shoe cam.
Yes, that's a camera aimed at her feet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she can show off her heel collection.
There are all kinds of places I could have gone with that, but
sponsored by Indie.
They went exactly where it was supposed to.
That's where it was supposed to. So hey everybody, Scott, you want to tell folks where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me online, always hanging out at my Facebook page. So go to facebook.com/Scott Rosema, I think is how you get to it. But just go to Facebook, type my name in, and you'll find me.
Awesome. All right, everybody.
Find me.
Coming soon to a comic shop near you. Anyway.
Yeah.
So everybody, we'll talk to you soon. Stay safe, stay good. Any last parting words, Mr. Rosema?
Well, I'd like to say I'm glad to have talked again with Daphne and, of course, with you, Randy. And Daphne has now given me my favorite phrase of all time.
Oh, boy.
Repeat, but, oh, that's awesome.
My pleasure.
Comics are awesome.
Don't forget.
That's true.
Comics are awesome, everybody. We're going out.
Be around Tuesday.
Say what?
I'll do my best to be around Tuesday.
You can threaten us all you want. We'll see. We'll see. I keep with Mr. Rosema, I keep sending him links and inviting him on board, and it's just he decided to show up today.
Well, you wore me down.
We do appreciate you. There we go. Yeah.
I'm like a pistol nub.
It only works for a certain few, because I keep sending out other links too, and nobody comes in. So one of these days. One of these days. All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you soon. Be safe. Have a good weekend upcoming, and talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay! Think about what you've accomplished.
How dare you?
How can he close me up? On what ground?
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
You're winning, sir.
Oh, thank you.